And we have another brisk Meckwell auction to 3 no trump. So Rodwell has a very, very questionable 14 count here. 4-3-3, very soft, no 10 spots. Yet this is still a 1 no trump opening for them. And Meckstroth has an ordinary raise to 3, although he didn't bother to use Stamen with his 4-3-3 hand. And I can see, well, actually, I thought I could only see 7 tricks, but when I look at the heart position, I can see that, in fact, the heart suit is coming home. So there's 4 diamonds, 4 hearts, and a spade, making 3.
Okay, hi Andrew.
Oh, hey Jordan. Thanks for joining me.
Yep, I was in the other room, but more action in here. And to show you the tactics that are going on given the state of the match, Passell opened the north hand with a diamond on the flat 10 count. So the same contract in both rooms, and Gupta will take about 15 more boards just like that.
Absolutely. Adam wants to speed up the play. Well, if that last 14 count was a no trump opener, then this one that Rodwell holds is it's almost too strong. So, as the cards lie, this might have been a good hand for a direct raise to 3-no trump by Meckstroth. They would have done well to miss their 4-4 fit with such a bad break.
Is this a hand where East might double given the state of the match?
I don't know. I wouldn't do it, even at this
No,
stage of the
but
match.
food for thought.
I mean, if you're going to double, you really ought to have more than one potential trick.
Yes, definitely. Or you want an auction where they've sort of tiptoed carefully into game, and so there's no possibility of extra values.
Absolutely true. Of course, Meckstroth and Rodwell never tiptoe into game.
Good point.
So the only way they can go down is if they suffer 3 trump losers. Let's see how Rodwell protects against that fate.
Okay, I can now devote my full attention to the bridge. The Kings-Ducks game just ended, and our goaltender, making his first NHL start, went 9 rounds in the shootout without letting a goal in. Pretty impressive. Anyway, on to this, and this is not a view that's going to please Rodwell here.
And so we arrive at down 1.
Catering to 4-1 breaks, obviously you haven't been playing enough ACBL robot tournaments on BBO, because then you would know that 5-0 is much, much more likely than 4-1.
So this time Rodwell starts with a big club, and we will see what Zmudzinski does. I found him to be an extremely conservative, competitive bidder, so I'd be very surprised if he preempted at these colors.
Well, desperate times call for desperate measures.
I think Mike Passell is capable, more than capable, of desperate measures for an entire team. As it turns out on this deal, the hand belongs to East-West for 4 hearts, and the big club bidder's job is to take the obvious sacrifice. Since they have a down 2 sacrifice against the vulnerable 4 hearts.
North will give a raise here. You just have to with that many, and South really doesn't have anything unexpected. So no reason for South to bid 4 spades. But North views it as insurance, and rightly so. Unless Zmudzinski finagled to lose a heart to the stiff queen, this was going to be making.
So a very nice decision by Meckstroth.
Yeah, well, Meckstroth's not going to let any double-digit swings happen here. So
I think
if this is a slight loss, they'll take it.
That's a really excellent point that Jordan just made there. If Meckstroth decided to defend the vulnerable game, and that turned out to be the wrong decision, then he could give up 12 imps. If the 4-spade sacrifice is the wrong decision, far more likely he's only giving up 6 or 7. And of course, today, he made the right decision. And I agree with Al's comment that I think Adam Zmudzinski judged very well to bid 3 hearts over 2 spades when it wasn't completely obvious to do so, and that got his partnership into a 4-heart, an excellent 4-heart game. Actually, this deal is a good advertisement for the law of total tricks because it worked perfectly. There were 9 card fits in both hands, and in fact, there's a total of 18 tricks that can be made, 8 by north-south and 10 by east-west. And Meckstroth's decision would have worked on any 10-8 break and only lost on a 9-9 break, and then it didn't lose very much.
Okay, so east-west in the open room forgot to double. So 5 to Lynch to narrow the gap to 68 with 13 comparisons to come. I wonder whether the lack of a double of 4 diamonds will get Meckstroth off to a club lead, which would be preferable here.
And Balicki shows that the polls are not always conservative. He could have chosen to invite, but he bids the aggressive four-heart game via Texas. And I like his
We all
decision.
knew that at this point of the match.
Yeah, well, that's another good point, that he knew that they'd be bidding game at the other table, so it's an easy choice.
Or it makes or it doesn't. So the stiff heart queen theme continues.
Well, this is interesting now. The hand has all of a sudden gotten quite interesting, since Rodwell presumably is going to win his ace, and then he's going to have to find the right shift. If Rodwell wins his ace and then fails to shift to a spade, the declarer will take 10 tricks. And I don't know that he has a whole lot to guide him either. So, it'll be interesting. I mean, perhaps you would argue that you have to play partner for the ace of spades, because if partner's ace is the ace of clubs, you've only got 3 defensive tricks. But let's see.
Well, this is one where you would expect at least 9 out of 10 club players to fire back the club.
One thing I can absolutely guarantee you is you won't be able to tell from Adam Zmudzinski's face what's going on. So actually, since we can see the result is in from the other table, at the other table, four hearts was played from the east side and went down 2 tricks. So if Rodwell does not find a shift to the king of spades, then there's a 12 imp loss coming up. 12 or 13. That's 820. And Rodwell finds the winning defense. So well done, Eric. To hold the loss to 3 imps. Well, let me take that back. It could be 4. Declarer could rough this high and then take a losing heart finesse. So he could
make it a push.
He could make it a push. That's right. And it looks like that's exactly what's about to happen. So, does Rodwell open this 10 count? I'm betting the answer is yes. All right, well, I think I owe you a Coke, Jordan.
What happened, Andrew?
Well, I placed a wager that Rodwell was going to open this hand in 3rd chair, and I was wrong.
Ah, okay.
Al has the benefit of actually listening to what Walter used to say when he talked about their system. But one thing about their methods is they open very aggressively in 1st chair, and since they open aggressively when it goes past the 3rd chair, I mean, you kind of already know that your partner's got about 10 at the top end, so they tend to be a little bit more serious in 3rd chair. Especially at colors like this when you're vulnerable against knot. It's just not the right time for kidding.
Right. So KNR has this west hand just a bit under 15 because of the flat shape.
For people who don't know, KNR is an online evaluator that uses a more sophisticated point count algorithm than the old-fashioned work algorithm, and a lot of people like to use it to check the valuation. Hey, Jordan, maybe you could tell people the URL. Never mind, Jordan. Al's put it up there for us. Thank you, Al. Unfortunately for East-West, they're not going to earn 70 imps if they continue to have to play part score deals. So East-West is hoping for game and slam hands.
Yeah, I mean, I think any reporter has to know what the lead is, and I think the lead in this match is the third quarter. So, our fourth push.
So we're about to see another strong club auction. And I will hazard a guess that this one is going to end in Meckstroth and Rodwell's favorite contract, 3-no trump. Wow. I think I owe you another Coke, Jordan.
Well, often wrong but never in doubt, but this is really surprising because this is the kind of call that can give the opponents a big swing. And he has to know that they're not going to be passing this. Not to mention which it's just probably, I mean, it's just right to bid on. put the state of the match considerations aside. I mean, Queen third is sort of a standard, template of the least you can have to consider that you have a stopper. But you have three of them. Queen fifth of clubs.
Well, Rodwell certainly was at the very top end for what I think he might hold for a non-forcing two-diamond bid there. I mean, he had a likely 8 tricks in 3-no trump.
Yeah, I mean, the thought occurred whether Rodwell might have simply rebid no trump with the hand.
Yeah, that occurred to me too.
And I mean,
so on the plus,
if this is, go ahead.
I was just going to say, on the plus side, at least it was not vulnerable.
Right. But I mean, if this is the kind of hand that's really sort of a super max for them, I mean, you have to think that this is not the occasion where Rodwell wants to start having super maxes for the bidding, because then you're going to create discrepancies from the other room, and that's the one thing you don't want. Of course, they're all keenly aware of all of these considerations. This is none of this is news to them. The 10 of clubs means it's just another dollar in Lord Yarborough's pocket.
So once again, We have a club, a diamond, two diamonds, and once again, Meckstroth has a 6 count. This time, I think he's got a lot more attractive 6 count.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing though is that that last hand had so many nice. I mean, it didn't have tens, but it had every 9, 8, 7, and 6 seemingly in the deck, just opposite a big hand. It's just kind of. You always ask, does it look more like a leaky wall or a leaky dike or a brick wall? That one sort of looked a little bit more like a brick wall in context, but certainly this is a better hand.
You know, Jordan, I have to tell you that when they hold the Nationals in San Francisco, you're not allowed to talk about either stiff queens or leaky dikes.
That's cute.
So Balicki may be sweating a little bit at this point and hoping he doesn't hear a double. Of course, he doesn't know he's hit his partner's 5-card suit. And I'm fully expecting Meckstroth to compete the part score. Question is, wow. Okay, well, I'm 0 for 3. I think I've got to stop making predictions.
Well, I mean, I just don't understand how this can be. I mean, would you bid 3 clubs with the south hand over 2 hearts? I mean, doesn't the redouble? I mean, we've established it's our hand, so how can they play undoubled? I mean, we have to keep bidding, don't we?
I would have thought so. I would think that when your partner has shown some cards with a redouble and you've got this hand, then you have to bid something. But Rodwell may not have wanted to bid in front of Meckstroth.
Well, that's all fine, but then can't Meckstroth bid 2 spades, and now we'll bid 3 clubs and either play that or 3 diamonds?
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Well, it looks like they should be beating this contract here. For a push. But it
30
seems
a
to
push?
me that, well, lose one, near enough. But
Okay.
it seems to me that Rodwell would have bid the same way with a small singleton heart, in which case 2 heart would be making, and they would be losing a double part score swing.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't think you can do this to partner where they're, just they may have, a really nice hand, whatever, or just, a distributional hand, but one that doesn't want to get in front of you, and now you've just stopped on the dime. I don't know. I think this is something best left to the likes of Meckstroth and Rodwell.
So here the West hand has a classic looking weak 2, but I believe they use multi-convention, so they'll open 2 diamonds. Balicki's 2 hearts is a pass, a correct bid. And with a combination of bad shape and a wasted king of spades, Rodwell isn't even tempted to compete the part score.
Wouldn't some pairs bid 2 spades with the East hand?
A short answer is yes. Some pairs would bid 2 spades with the East hand. 2 spades would also be pass or correct and would say, well, if your suit is spades, let's play there, but if your suit happens to be hearts, I can play higher. It's not very likely that the West hand holds hearts, but if the West hand did hold hearts...
We've all seen strange things with multi. We've all seen those hands where it's the one you think it couldn't possibly be.
That's absolutely right. And on this, given the East cards, if the West hand did hold hearts, you would expect 4 hearts to have excellent play. So it looks like with hearts breaking 3-3, they shouldn't have any trouble scoring, and hearts being 3-3 and spades also being 3-3. They shouldn't have too much trouble scoring 5 spades, 2 hearts, and a club. And that will be another small swing, a 5-imp swing to east-west, since at the other table they got up to 3 spades.
So certainly some little dribs and drabs here going the right direction for Lynch, but in the second half they're going to have to start turning into major hailstones. Yeah, I mean, West might have even played the heart back right away. Make sure of the trick. With only one spade card, that can come later if as needed.
At this point, Meckstroth needs to continue a club and take out the entry before trump is drawn. Meckstroth tried to give his partner a rough there. Presumably he was still thinking about ways that he might be able to beat the hand.
And seemingly, they had the count there. Okay, so now the other club will go on the heart, and this will make with an over trick. So Lynch keeps plodding along here. Nice first half of the quarter. Blitz Meckwell, 19-0, but all about the context.
There's an interesting kind of a parallel to poker in a match like this. When you're playing a poker tournament, you're trying to win as many chips as possible, and sort of the later in the tournament that you get, the more important it becomes to have a big stack of chips, because all your opponents have big stack of chips. So if you're in the position of having a small stack of chips, you suddenly have to really reach for desperation measures, because if you just play good poker and cruise along, you're going to lose the match. And that's exactly the position that East-West is in. And you can see they're playing good bridge, and they're picking up imps, and they're doing the best that they can. But if they continue to go at this pace, then they're going to lose the match. They're going to run out of time. So they need spectacular things. They need fireworks. I once had a conversation with Lou Stansby about Meckstroth and Rodwell, and I was commenting on just how many of the top events Meckstroth and Rodwell have won over the last 20-odd years. And at the time, it was something like 1/3 of the major American team championships that the nickel team had won. And so I asked Lou, what was it about these guys that made them better than everybody else? And Lou's response was, very interesting. He said that, obviously they're great players, and they play and defend extremely well. But there are other people who play. There are other experts who play and defend as well as they do. He said one of the big differences is they are the absolute best pair in the world at playing from behind. He said there is no other pair in the world who knows how to manufacture swings out of nowhere the way that these guys do. So he says, when they're ahead in the match, they actually, the general perception of them as being kind of crazy aggressive bidders. He said when they're ahead in the match, they basically play pretty straight down the middle bridge. They just count on their superior skill to wear out the other side. Then when they're behind in the match, there's just nobody like these guys for manufacturing a surprise comeback.
Interesting story. I mean, it really is a tremendous skill. I think that most pairs or teams, when they have a non-negligible margin to make up, and they consciously adjust their style of play or their approach, for most of those pairs or teams, it just gets worse and worse and worse. It's like quicksand, and it just ends in disaster. So it's very hard to do, to have a great record of making up meaningful differences by creating swing.
Well, it's a genuine talent, and It's definitely, I've never read a bridge book that describes how to do it. And I think a lot of the lore about how you generate swings is just plain wrong.
That's interesting. I tend to agree with you, but can you explain what you mean by that?
Well, sure. People often think about, oh, well, geez, I need to, we got to generate swings. We've got to be aggressive. But if you think about it, swings are just doing something different than what's going to happen at the other table. So, in theory, if you look at a hand and you think, well, gee, a game ought to be bid at the other table, then the way to swing would be to play that in part score. That's going to generate a different result. Now, I'm not recommending that as a tactic, but I'm trying to make the point that a swing is just doing something different than what's being done at the other table. So if you think that way, then you might realize that really, that perhaps the key to swinging is finding different lines of play. If there's two lines of play and it seems like they're fairly close, reasonably close, and one of them is maybe a little less attractive than the other. If you're swinging, you go for the less attractive line of play. So when swinging, you got to think not just about how you're going to bid, but also about how you're going to play the hand. And we're back. So it looks like Meckstroth's opening bid is showing a three-suited hand short in diamonds. And we notice that Meckstroth has not vulnerable, is happy to make an aggressive opening bid.
Interesting. 4415 minus one card. That's cool.
And Rodwell applies immediate pressure. Rodwell clearly has an eye on the vulnerability here. He doesn't want to give the opponents room to find their best contract when they are vul, and he's really made it hard for them. Balicki's double seems to be kind of nebulous. It doesn't show particular shape, so Zmudzinski really doesn't have much to go on. And he's going to take the sure money.
Yeah, and I mean, there's kind of an inference that East has some diamond cards, so that's not a big match. Doesn't look like there's a big 10 or 11 card, 10 or 11 trick place for them to land. So it looks very right to double.
And it will be especially right if he chooses to lead a trump.
You rang.
I got one right. I got one right.
Really? I mean, it seems to me that with partners double here, we've said we have at least half the hand, and we have no particular reason to think that they're making 10 tricks. So, I mean, I don't have to have these values, but I do. So, to me, it looks like the double just looks extremely ordinary.
Jordan is responding to Henry's comment in the text commentary, and actually I agree with Jordan here. West is looking at a trick and a half, probably two tricks, a defense in his hand. So I think we're a pretty big favorite to be beating four hearts.
Yeah.
And even if we're not beating four hearts, the worst thing that happened is they're going to make it, and we gave away 5 M's. Big deal.
I mean, there's also just a little bit of an inference in a situation like this where partners double doesn't necessarily promise any particular shape, that it's just a bit too dicey to do that with shaded value. So you really have to believe that partner is on a nice hand here. I mean, a real double. And so in that context, I would just find it too pusillanimous to pass.
So now, if South wants to contain the damage, he's got to lead a low club and duck in both hands. And thank you to our spectator, Chochos, for that observation. So very well done by Rodwell. And he's going to wind up taking 4 clubs and 3 hearts and the ace of diamonds for down 2 to contain the damage. But still 5 imps away. So this time we get a Polish club. Well, Zmudzinski has got to like his hand with a pretty good 14 count facing a 19 plus in the opposite. So there's no way East-West stops short of 6 clubs. All right, I could be back to my losing streak here.
Notice how quickly he backtracked there when that 3-note trump came up.
I'm shocked by that 3-no trump.
I mean, we're really at a point where they can't. Oh, looky there. They really can't have any big swings against. So.
All right. So that 3-no trump clearly, there must be something about their bidding that I don't understand very well. I can't imagine that 3-no trump was non-forcing given this auction.
They really toyed with us on this auction.
Well, it makes sense that 3-no trump could be forcing if as soon as East establishes that he's got the 19+ hand, and West has shown that he had a game force opposite the weak hand. In other words, that West has an opening bid or more, then it's really unnecessary to have to to play 3-no trump. If you're going to stop below slam, 4-no trump is certainly going to be playable. So it's very reasonable for the 3-no trump bid to become forcing. I don't anticipate that the play of this hand will take long.
Put one of Meckstroth's spades in the West hand, and that might be the killing lead.